Hi, I'm going to provide you some additional information about Yagorath you might have skipped while playing her and talk a little bit about her cards and loadouts. Have fun. Acceleration goes in the direction you're looking at with your camera, and if you press your sight, the Q ability, in this form and switch to planted, it will still finish its pulses and its effects if you roll with that legendary. It is preferable with this champion to shoot at the opponent's feet, because from close range, yeah, you get the pull from the speed and the acid pulse damage and the quill explosion and the piercing effect from it, yes. But if you try to shoot at someone who is further away from you, the quill might not explode close to them, so you might not get the extra damage, and so the pull might just go over their head if they are standing on a bit higher ground than you or something, so it's really preferable to shoot at opponent's feet with this jump. Your hitbox is smaller when you are curled up. You can use your ultimate ability to act as a Makoa hook or to get some extra HP while your team gets to you to help you out somewhere. Let's talk about cards and loadouts. The first two cards can make a great combination because they give you the ability to not stay just as a target dummy anywhere and be able to shoot while your hardening still takes place. If you are wondering if you will get back the same efficacy if you use both the first and the second card, the answer is no. You will get back much more damage reduction if you use both of them on maximum points. I mean the first, of course, on maximum points. But it's better to use the second card on its max duration, because that 0.5 second just to have the whole efficacy of your hardening is not worth it at all. So if you cannot get it to at least 4 points, or better yet 5 points, then just leave that card alone. And if you want to, you can even cancel your hardening early if you are using the first card on high points. Because the point is that you just want to get damage out while you are having the hardening effects on you. I never really like cards that heal the user without an inner rejuvenate card available to them, so I just skip most of those. I will just talk about one of them. You can try to use this card with some high points with Dreadful Compact, because yeah, you will not get back Violent Burst effect twice because it will still have a cooldown on it while you use your second hardening, but it can help you stay alive just as long to get back your acceleration and get the hell out of somewhere. I think this card is a waste as well, because Yago doesn't deal that much of a DPS with her acid pulse, and also it takes time to switch to planted form, so some of the duration will be lost anyway with that animation. If you want to escape from somewhere, just better use your acceleration. This card just doesn't get you anywhere. If you desire, you can combine this card with Sight Beget Strength, legendary card, and it will give you probably a good amount of survivability to roll away from somewhere if your HP would be getting low. But there are better cards out there, so yeah. This card is surely a waste again because it takes time to switch to your planted form, and if you don't want to waste acid and get your extra damage early, then you will shoot a quill as well in the meantime, so you will probably just waste a lot of time doing that, so this card is nonsense. If you want to stay longer somewhere, then just go for some Ancient Wounds and Futile Efforts card combination, both on 2 points. It gives you a good 7 or 8 seconds to shoot and pew enemies, and if they don't hide from you or they don't kill you in that amount of time, then they deserve to die anyway. That time is more than enough to deal your damage or to get too low, and then you can just go back to your travel form and go away from there. This is a valuable card as well, especially if you combine it with an End of an Era and Out of Time, but if you just want to stay on the point longer, then you can just go for End of an Era as well only, because you can just negate high burst abilities like ultimates or sky poison bolts or whatever you wish to protect yourself against from. Again, this is a nonsense card. That basic 3-second duration for the vulnerability is more than enough to deal damage in the meantime. And if you have some Ancient Wounds and Futile Efforts, then you can just spam your left click and right click just like Moji in the old days. This might be the only self-heal card that I consider worthy, especially when you use it in combination with that staying on point legendary card, because you can get up to, let's say, 700 or 800 health per second. I didn't do the exact math, but if you consider that a Furia can heal 1500 health, let's say every 3 seconds, then this might worth it in the early game. Again, this card is just really unnecessary in itself. This is an interesting card since they removed all CC cards from every champion. Yago is the first one who actually has one again, and it might stack with resilience in some way. I didn't have the time to check it yet. If it is additive or multiplicative, I mean. As I mentioned, just roll this card with Ancient Wounds on some points if you want to stay somewhere longer. Also, it has a weird feature, or bug as I should say, that if you run out of heals and you restore the cooldown fast with futile efforts enough, then they shoot faster than they should. I'm happy that they finally have a card that interferes with the ultimate in some way, but if you use Out of Time or End of an Era, in combination with Out of Time of course, then it might worth more than this card. If you are curious, I will show some loadouts I made. So the first one is about staying on your toes for a long time and then having a good amount of damage reduction in the first second, so you can deal a considerable amount of damage while your HP gets low or something, or you run out of any resources you have, and then you just curl up and roll away. In the second one, you might want to get some chronos and aim for, if you're using acceleration to get somewhere and you go to your planted form, just press your Q instantly, don't cancel it, and then you will get back your hardening quick enough if you use your quills. You spam it of course with conjunction with your acid pools, and after your second hardening expires you should have back your acceleration again, so you will have just some seconds without your hardening buff to deal damage, and then you can just roll away instantly from there again. This is an experimental loadout that I'm not really comfortable playing with, because here you will have hardening quite often, but you have to stay in hardening to actually regenerate your acid pool and your quill cooldowns and bars to deal damage while you're not in your hardening state. And if you would like just to practice your shooting with Yagorath on TDMs or anything against bots or something, then just roll with a high futile force and ancient wounds, and either with Dreadful Compact or Raise and Burn. Maybe the latter would be more sophisticated for bot TDMs, because you will have a good health regeneration there, and just improve your aim in general. Because you have to adapt to the fact that your camera is turning slower if you're shooting your acid pools, so you might want just to practice a little bit. Here you can see your HP bar without Out of Time if you use your ultimate, and with Out of Time if you use your ultimate. You can see that you're much more tanky in this state. You can cancel your acceleration if you press F and switch form. As a last resort, you can use your ultimate ability to avoid crowd control or high damage bursts, for example ultimates, while you don't have your hardening ready. Hope this video was useful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Until then, goodbye.